GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, Dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude,
he? How good is GMGP. Good morning, good people. It is Friday, May 16th, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself. Y'all know who's here. My brother from another mother, the Canadian, the triple down king himself, Jordan Richards. You can find him at your boy JRich on X. And I just want to say, Jay has done a phenomenal job this week holding down the fort over on Bleacher Report. So if you didn't check out the show yesterday, he was flying solo. Top NFL revenge games for the 25 season. You can find that on this channel inside our Bleacher Report playlist. Man, we are very blessed and we enjoy that partnership with BR. So make sure you tap in to the content that JRich dropped yesterday. But the people are in the building, Jay, and they are reminding me it is Freaky Friday, Feel Good Friday, F Something Up Friday, and we are going to have some fun this Friday on the show. GMGP to you, Jeff. Good to be in the building. JRich was talking about my Safari hat today. He said it was a random impulse buy to buy the Supreme bucket hat. Jay, how you doing this morning, big dog? You are on mute. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
Thank you, Ray. No, I always mute for your intros because pretty much everything you say I would have to retort, so I have to make sure I keep myself quiet to let you get through the intro. But I'm doing good. I'm very excited. I hope you're excited too, because we do have a Game 7 coming up, Ray, and I gotta say,
ooh,
I'm a little excited for it. I'm a little excited for it. Now we might have two. We'll see.
How about that Nuggets?
Gotta get
you
it done.
For that Nuggets Thunder Game 7?
I might watch, which sounds crazy.
Look at
but
you.
I might watch. I might watch.
Look at you.
I might watch. I'm a little bit excited, you know. Shay's my boy. He's from Kitchener. I live in Guelph. Please don't come try to find me if you're nearby.
Guelph?
Yeah, Guelph.
Guelph. All right. Well, let's see who's in the building, man. We got some people in the building. I had the favorite, this one right here from DT, because we talked about the Celtics being out of there after last game. He said Ray G, Warren G, Kenny G, Nixon 6.
Well, the chat was all over Nixon 5 on Wednesday.
They were.
What happened, right? What happened?
Hayden Pritchard, Sam Cornett, the exciting white saved Boston.
Oh,
they got it done. And got it done without old Jason Tatum, so they survived for another game. But yeah, Game 7, Nuggets Thunder, that should be a good one. Game 6, Knicks and Celtics should also be good. And WNBA is starting up again, and I'm very excited. I'm going to watch every Caitlin Clark game there is because she's the best female basketball player in the world, and she's awesome, and she's fun to watch. But we got to talk NFC rookies. We got to talk some news. We got to talk some ball. Got a lot of stuff to discuss today on this Friday show, but I do got to give Little GQ a shout out. He graduated from preschool yesterday, JRich. A preschool graduation. He is heading to kindergarten next year. So I want to shout out my big dog. My big dog, my little big dog, Ridgy Poo, man. He out there doing it big in the school streets. We got in the building, though. Let's see the comments. Let's see. We got Matt in the building. And I got a comment on YouTube, JRich, that I'm loud, that I'm yelling and need to turn my volume down. So I guess I'll be a little more cognizant of that. Fredo, what's up? GMGP to you. See the chat in here talking. GMGP to all my Baltimore Ravens fans. Let's get it. A lot of folks in the building. Shout out to the bros, man. Nick J in the building said, finally catching y'all live. What's happening with you, MV Prof? Welcome to the party. Yeah, root of the bros, man. Shout out to Nick J. But Jay, let's talk about something that has been permeating on the
Mm-hmm.
social media airwaves, and I really want your opinion on this. We're going to talk about the number 1 overall pick, a player that people thought would be the next Patrick Mahomes, the generational one at quarterback. And this article from a book that's coming out, but it dropped and it made its rounds yesterday on social media. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, now led by former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. He didn't want to go to Chicago. He nor his
Nope.
family wanted to be drafted by the Bears, okay? And then throughout this article, if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Yahoo. Seth Wickersham is the author of this piece. But it also went on to detail how Caleb Williams was failed by Shane Waldron, Matt Eberflus, and the organization because they didn't teach him how to watch film. They just gave him tape and said, go figure it out, go watch the film. And Caleb said, hey, you're not even telling me what to watch, what to look at. This has sparked quite a bit of conversation from former players. I reached out a couple of my boys to make sure I wasn't tripping. What are you? Let me ask you your thoughts when you read the story, when you've seen the commentary around Caleb Williams. What are your initial thoughts about his hesitancy or reluctance to want to be in Chicago, which I think a lot of people felt that at the time anyway. Dysfunctional
Yeah.
organization, franchise, never had a 4,000-yard passer. But this idea that they failed him because they didn't prep him and teach him how to watch film or what to watch when watching film. What are your thoughts about this situation, and does it change how you feel about Caleb Williams and what he could become in the NFL in the future?
I mean, easily put, how it makes me feel about Caleb Williams, it's absolutely nothing. This is a guy that's coming off a rookie season. It feels like odd timing for a book about him to come out. Again, it's one of those situations where everyone hears about the book. This story comes out. You said Yahoo, ESPN has an article on it. But no one knows the author. No one knows where this came from. No one even really necessarily knows, unless they looked into it, how this even came about. But to talk about, his situation in Chicago, why would you want to go to the Bears? The 4,000-yard passer aside, I believe the quote was, Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. And honestly, if we're being for real,
I mean,
that's been kind of true. You're not mincing words, you're not putting it nicely, but Chicago has had virtually no success at quarterback for a large majority of their franchise history. And so when you compare it to the situation where in the article, and I'm sure in the book as well, it was outlined that he wanted to go to the Vikings. Yeah, shocker. He wants to play in the same spot. But we're all pegged J.J. McCarthy in right now, where Sam Darnold was basically a star.
Revived,
as much of a star as Sam Darnold can be.
Absolutely.
He wasn't lying. He wasn't mincing words. He's just telling the truth. And if you're a number 1 overall pick, top rookie, whatever, wouldn't you want to go to a good situation as well? So that part, I'm completely fine with. You're okay to have those opinions. At the end of the day, you go where you get drafted. And some players, they get to choose where they get drafted, or they get to have some influence over that if they're big enough. Caleb Williams obviously wasn't, and nothing happened there. But the film side of it is interesting because I kind of see it from both ways. Never been a professional athlete, never been a college athlete. But if I was a head coach, offensive coordinator, and I had a first overall pick coming into my building, I would probably want to get a feel for how good is he at watching film? How much does he watch film? And more importantly, is he watching for and looking for the things that I want him to look for to help his development, right? So was there a time where he was sat down and said, okay, when you're looking for film, we want you to look for these things, and then we're going to take you here and get to this process? That's where I need your input, Ray, and kind of your thoughts on this from the film side. Do you think that people are being overcritical about the film and him saying, they never really told me what to watch or when to watch, or no one really watched it with me? Okay, but I feel like there should be some acclimation process so he knows what's expected of him to help his development into the NFL as well.
I'll just say this. I do not believe that they did not collectively watch film as a unit. I guarantee they did. I guarantee the quarterbacks went in the room with the offensive coordinator, the QB coach, whomever it is, and they went through film together, whether that's after the game, before the game, preparation. This notion and idea that somebody should have been alongside him on his off time as a professional athlete, showing him what to look at, I reached out to a couple of people that played in the league and just asked, like, yo, like, is this? And they're like, dude, everyone gets an iPad. We all get the film. Nobody is sitting next to you at home or in your off hours in the office at work and walking through each detailed play that you have against your opponent, yourself. I don't know, man. That's the part where I've listened to a lot of athletes talk about this. Acho, he had a rant about it. He's like, "You're a professional.
Yeah.
Like, no one's gonna sit down and watch film with you." That's the part of the whole story that just it's a little. I can't say I didn't see it coming, but what were some of the
It's
criticisms
righteous,
around
right?
Caleb Williams coming out? It was his inability to play within structure, something that he was going to have to learn, something he was going to have to clean up. Because for a lot of the time at Oklahoma and at Southern Cal, it felt like he played backyard football, right? He felt like he was the play extender, the creator. It wasn't as clean and pretty as 5 steps, back foot hits the ground, ball is released. This is the part of me where I'm just, if I had to ask you right now, Jay, if we had to redo the 2024 NFL draft, rank how you think the quarterbacks would come off of the board. And remember, we had 5 first-round quarterbacks last year. We had 5 of them: Caleb, Jaden, May, Nix, Penix, McCarthy. 6 within the top 12, 15 picks. Re-rank how you think those guys would be redrafted today.
I mean, Jaden would be number 1. I
Jaden
still
would
think
be
Caleb
1.
would go number 2, though.
You still think Caleb would go 2?
I think he would. You know, the difference between him and May wasn't a large one. Again, you could look to maybe the tool side.
I'm not
of
talking no
May a little
fantasy
bit
football.
more, but
Real NFL.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but like
building.
on tape, right? May didn't take as many sacks. He did a bit more with his legs, but both situations were bad. I think May handled the pressure a little bit better than Caleb did. Didn't take as many sacks. Like, it's tough, right? Because I don't think if you re-rank them today, certain GMs would take May and certain GMs would take Caleb, but I think more would probably still take Caleb, even though he had a down rookie season, and obviously Jaden's number 1. May would be 3rd for me. Nix would be 4th, and I think JJ would probably still be 5th. Maybe certain guys would take JJ ahead of
I don't
Nix
know
and
if he
maybe
would
even
be
ahead of May. But I just, again, after seeing what they did in their rookie season and taking that into account, I think a lot of people would be pretty happy with what Bo Nix did and say they'd be willing to take him over JJ McCarthy. I think they would. Do you don't think people would?
I mean, I'm looking at the chat now. It's JD5, Nix, May, Caleb McCarthy, JD5, May, Caleb Penix, JD5, Nix, May, JJ Penix, Caleb.
You can't really like compare Nix and Caleb though. Like you can compare them, but like Nix's offensive line situation was the polar opposite of what Caleb had. Now I think he did a great job in his situation, and you can't take that away from him. But to say that he is above Caleb and above May when we know that that wasn't the case coming into the draft process and the evaluations of those quarterbacks, you put Caleb in that offense situation in Denver, and he's probably similar to what Bo Nix did, and maybe even better as well.
DP,
it was a very good situation.
Damian Parsons, shout out to DP, man, coworker over at Bleacher Report. He's in the chat. He says JD5 with that awful coaching staff doesn't produce positive results. That to me, that's the big equalizer here, right?
For sure.
I think there were some things that Caleb did last year. I mean, 68 sacks, not good. We know the O-line was a problem. Offensive coordinator, not good. His lack of detail or ability to watch film on his own, which I just think is an insane statement to make. I saw somebody in the chat say that as well. You've been playing D-Law from 3D said it. He said the film thing is BS. You played the position your entire life and you don't know what to look for on film. That's a bewildering statement to say, at the least. I agree with that. But I also think that I've talked to plenty of people that say more players in the NFL are ruined by poor coaching staffs, infrastructure, environments than are developed. Caleb Williams still had 3,500 passing yards. He had 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He was sacked damn near 70 times. He showed explosive ability with his legs, and he's received an offensive coordinator / environment change. I'm excited for Caleb in year 2. I do. Yeah. I think he's a bit of. He seems like a different cat at quarterback. He seems different, right? He just
Why don't you just call him a diva quarterback? Because it seems like that's kind of what he is.
Maybe,
but it seemed like he was like that in college too,
I'm not saying that in a disparaging way, but he just He seems to very particular about things and that's fine, right? The coaching staff was a mess. He clearly didn't want to be there under that regime, but the regime has changed. I'm excited for year two, Caleb, but this has been filed away. You know how you just kind of file things away in the memory bank, like you're not going to
It's
make
not
any
something till it's
wholesale.
something on the field, right?
Yeah, you just kind of file it away. But here in year two, with his supporting cast, with the weapons that they've surrounded him with through the draft, what they've done through free agency, the offensive coaching staff, like everything should be better. Now there are no excuses. There are no excuses for the number one overall pick from 2024. That's Caleb Williams, and we'll probably talk about the Bears a little later in the show. Can we just go to another quarterback, Jay? Let's tell me just help me out here. I feel like I might be I might be crazy. I might be tripping just a little bit. I can't quit, JRich. I can't quit Anthony Richardson. JRich, I'm still in. I'm still in on the development of this young man. There was promise in his rookie season that was cut short. Promise from Anthony Richardson. There was promise that rookie season. Year two, little cockiness, right? He came into the season and he was, this is easy. Said it on a podcast and it was not easy. It was anything but easy. But this year, 2025, he's cut his hair. He got glasses. Apparently, he couldn't see that well.
The aura not doing so good for JRich these days.
I love the aura. I'm loving the Lenora Sellers vibe. I like the goggles. Get the glasses on. He's clean cut. Get those dreadlocks out of here. I'm still in on JRich and the talent this year. I don't think he's losing the job to Daniel Jones or Riley Leonard. Where you at with AR5 going into 2025? I'm still in. JRich.
But Ray, why are you in? He's going to lose the starting gig to Daniel Jones. Like, that's going to happen. Daniel Jones probably going to open as the starter for the Colts. Now he could flame out, and it could be Anthony Richardson's job sooner rather than later. But, I mean, Ray, you showed the clip of what? An 8-yard out route to Alec Pierce? If it was Joe Milton, you would have dismissed it time and time again. You say, it's just an 8-yard out route.
See, this is the difference. This is the difference between your film session and my film. What I saw, let me tell you what I see, JRich. I see timing. I see ball getting out quick. Look at that. Look at that 1, 2, 3, right? 5-step drop. Little pat. That's okay. That's okay. I see a tight spiral. I see good timing. I see an ability to create yak for Antoine Pierce right here. I see a man that looks focused. I see a man that knows his time in Indianapolis is limited and he can't F around. The talent of Anthony Richardson, I cannot quit. I can't quit, Jay. I cannot do it.
I mean, I'm fine if you can't quit it, but Ray, I'm not there, man.
Are you not there?
I'm not. I can't get in on JRich this season. I don't think he's necessarily worse than Daniel Jones, but I do think that Daniel Jones will make fewer mistakes than JRich will and will just probably be the starting quarterback for the large majority of the season. So
let me ask you,
what would happen
if your job told you, hey, man, you got 1 month to get your shit together or you're out of here and you're going to lose this big, beautiful salary, nice car, parking spot, air-conditioned locker room. This will be gone, ripped from you if you don't get it together. You would step up and perform. I think JRich knows. Hey, man, they've been very open. Nothing's going to be given to me. Nothing is going to be given to me. Nothing is promised to me here in Indianapolis. I'm going to work my ass off to show some of the things. And let's not be silly here, because there were a lot of moments where a lot of people were very excited about this young man with Shane Steichen. So you get him a dynamic weapon in Tyler Warren. You get you a healthy Josh Downs. You've got Antoine Pierce. You've got A.D. Mitchell, Michael Pittman. Lost a little bit up front. Run the ball, stay healthy. I'm still excited about Anthony Richardson in 2025. How excited are you about this?
It's got to show up on the field, though. It's got to show up on the field. You can put in all that work, right? Every offseason, who's in that same position?
Let me ask you this.
Jameis Winston, and he's doing all these weird workouts to get ready for the season. But when he gets on the field and he's throwing 3 picks a game, it doesn't really matter, right?
Anthony Richardson or Tyler Shuck?
To be my starting quarterback for how long?
Which one do you want? Pick one.
I would be inclined to take Tyler Shuck.
Stop
I would take Tyler Shucks because he has a
about
better path to being the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints than Anthony Richardson does of being the starting quarterback for the Colts.
Okay.
Give me Shuck.
All right. There are reports that this running back is going to get all the work he can handle here in 2025. And nobody is really talking about this player potentially being the top running back in the league this year. It's just it can't happen. Too old. Achilles is shredded. Not good. Christian McCaffrey. There have been some videos posted, JRich, of him running full speed. I'm in. Jay, give me Captain America. Christian McCaffrey. The reports are they're going to give him the ball as much as he can handle it. How are you feeling about CMC in 2025?
I think I'm excited, Ray. I think I am excited. And
Me too.
Honestly, it stems from how easy their schedule is. For anyone who hasn't seen their schedule, it is like the biggest joke in the history of NFL schedules for a team that, I mean, how high would you say they are in the NFC? Probably like 4th or 5th today. Like, I think they're right there with Tampa, depending on how things go.
Talk about the Niners, like best teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
fifth,
they could win their division, right?
Yeah.
Their division's competitive. They could win it, though. Definitely. The
Yeah,
Rams will
healthy
be
San
there.
Francisco, Robert
Philly,
Saleh.
Washington. You know, they have a great team. They drafted Michael Williams to play on the other side of Nick
Love
Bosa.
it.
Like this
Love
team is going to be good.
Love
And
it.
so for a team that struggled a lot last year, having Christian McCaffrey back healthy and having, like, honest to God, a really easy schedule, they should be in line for, and Ray, I'd be looking at probably 12 to 13 wins for the Niners this year. And if this happens and they play that well, Christian McCaffrey could easily be an RB1. Easily be an RB1. I do think that they are in line for a really big season.
Daniel ain't feeling it. Daniel is rapid firing us
Why?
in the chat. And Dan's here he's here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as you all should be. He said, stop it. Buckeye DK. Everybody's saying, stop it. Don't let CMC fool you. Jay, wasted pick.
I'm fine with it.
Wasted pick.
He's just too good, man. He's way too good. You're going to give me any discount on Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to take it. Pretty much
Y'all
every
not
time.
see these clips? You not see what he's doing? There's one where he's running full speed. Jay, he runs a 40. I think it was a 4.3, 4.39 in the 40. I saw it.
4.3.
I'm telling you.
How old is he? 29?
I think he's going into
28?
age 29. Age 29 season. Hell, we just saw Derrick Henry at age 30. Talk about that bag talk, right? Count that money, JRich. Derrick Henry just got $30 million. What, you get $30 million? Guaranteed?
$25 million guaranteed.
Let's go.
2-year deal for the King?
You didn't like that deal. You didn't like that deal. You texted me and said you don't understand what Baltimore's doing. You don't like it. You're one of the people who said sell Derrick Henry 5 years ago when he was still on Tennessee.
I don't know if I said that. But I do not understand why these running backs are getting raises. Like, you didn't want to pay them for all these years, and now you're like, oh, man, hey, Derek, here's an extra
You don't know why?
million.
Just so they just gave it to him for no reason.
Here,
2,000 yards,
did Saquon not get a raise for no reason? Did he or did he not get a raise to like $20 million he's making this year as like easily the highest paid running back in the league? For what? He was already under contract. It's just crazy. What are these teams doing?
It's called just it's a bump, right? Just a little bump
then
for
buy
your
him a car. You know, do something for his kid. You know, like what?
All right.
But good for the King.
All right. One more topic, hot topic item. That is this one. I mean, football purists hate this. They hate it, JRich. But the clickbait artists love it. In the NFL, I think they have floated this around to test the waters in the public perception.
And get me hot.
Of a draft lottery for the NFL. This has been all over
the stupidest idea in
been
sports media.
Been all over big media since the NBA draft lottery, and the Dallas Mavericks somehow damn near in the playoffs, one game away from the playoffs. They lotto their way into the number 1 overall pick, which I will continue to say 15 years from now when the 30 for 30 comes out that the NBA rigged this for the Dallas Mavericks, just know you heard it here first. What are your thoughts about the NFL, JRich, conducting and venturing into a draft lottery for the teams that fail to reach the NFL playoffs. That'd be 18 teams, correct? That do not make the playoffs. They get put in a pool.
Yeah.
They lotto it. What are your thoughts on this?
It's the worst idea I think that's been floated in sports media in a very, very long time.
I agree.
A very, very long time. The NBA
agree.
as a whole is dying, especially in North America. It's an irrelevant sport. It's terrible. The product sucks. And the draft has been largely irrelevant for a very, very long time. Ray, people who don't watch the NBA don't even know this is like one of the strongest drafts we've seen in years.
Yes.
But yet no one really cares.
No one cares.
Right? No one can name draft picks from the past 2 seasons other than Victor Wembanyama because they're not that good.
Couldn't name 3 from the last 2. Yeah.
And it's just like you have the lottery to kind of spice it up. You're like, oh, no one's really watching. We gotta do something. We gotta change things. And they sell it as like this anti-tanking thing. And then Greenberg goes on ESPN and talks about how bad play was in the NFL last season at the bottom. It's like, yeah, no shit. These teams are terrible. Like the NFL is probably one of the hardest sports to find success because you don't just have to draft one good player. You have to build a team. And obviously all the teams at the bottom, they don't have no quarterbacks. And you look to like the NBA, the top 3 teams in the lottery, Ray, they got like a combined 6 all-stars on their roster currently. Right? It's not like the Tennessee Titans have 3 or 4 Pro Bowlers on their roster and they just all got injured and they ended up with the number 1 overall pick. Like, that's how things work in the NBA. The NFL is so much more different and their draft is actually relevant. So it's crazy that big media is kind of like turning this into a story because it's only going to benefit them. It's not going to benefit the fans. It's not going to benefit the viewers. It's not going to benefit the teams. It's just going to screw over teams that are already bad. And for a league that has a ton of parity already, so you don't need to ruin that by giving teams that are good better draft selections.
Autosave says every league does it but the NFL already. Like everybody else does it. NHL does it. Somebody says it's trash for the NHL.
Yeah,
how many
trash too.
I think it would just keep some bad teams down. Like what would happen if the Titans ended up with the 15th pick?
Look at this season. No, but look at this season. There was 4 premier draft picks. Or there's actually only 3. It was Cam Ward, it was Abdul Carter, it was Travis Hunter. Imagine if the Tennessee Titans, worst team in the league, great chance to get number 1 overall, what if they ended up at 4 or 5? Which is exactly what happened with Utah. And again, that's in a draft where it is loaded at the top. And, you know, Utah needed Cooper Flagg to kind of keep them relevant and build up their team. But if the Tennessee Titans ended up with Mason Graham, think about how bad they would be. Right? Like, it's so different in the sports. And it just doesn't work, man.
I hope it doesn't happen, Jay.
It's awful.
I hope it does not happen. But I also don't. I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist here, but I don't think there's anything coincidental, right? I think that there are things floated out there to check the temperature of whether it's a fan base, a community, how much media attention this thing gets. The NFL's continue to do things every year that just kind of seem like, I don't know why we're doing this or switching that or changing this rule. I hope it doesn't happen. I'll just say I won't be shocked if sometime down the line they start floating the idea of doing this. And I hope it does not happen, man. I don't think the NFL needs it. It's already the premier sporting event to watch. I don't know what else comes close.
Always will be, right?
I'm assuming
nothing comes close.
Soccer, but that's an international sport. That's a global sport.
It's different.
Speaking of World Cup down here, next summer down here in Dallas? You coming down? Me, I'm gonna be there, man.
If you're paying for tickets, I'll be there. Trust me. The flight ain't a thing.
I didn't ask you.
The flight ain't a thing.
Paying for tickets here. All right. Hey, there it is. We got to talk through some rookies though, JRich. We got to talk through some rookies. So what we're gonna do? We got 300 plus people here on YouTube watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Like the stream. Like the content. We're talking NFC rookies following mini camp. When we get out of the break, man. Appreciate y'all being here. Pull up, like the stream. We'll be right back. Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report, NFL Daily. You can find JRich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, oh, yuck. And it's got to be Najee Harris, right? It's
that world is in an alternate timeline. somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. JRich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Let's get it. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay, Friday, May 16th, 2025. We appreciate you being in the building. Yes, every single Thursday, we have the opportunity to check out, to drop content over on Bleach Report. So make sure you subscribe over there to the main Bleach Report channel. Download the Bleach Report app. Follow JRich and I on there every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NFL Daily. More content, dope stuff from us. But Jay, we talked AFC Mini Camp Rookie Standouts on Wednesday's show. Check that out if you did not see that. We got to go NFC today. We got to go NFC. Yeah, DP, JRich said if you pay, absolutely. Yeah, that ain't happening, DP. He makes enough damn money on his own. I'm not paying for him to come down here to go to the freaking World Cup. But Jay, let's go NFC, and let's start with somebody that you said was not a needle mover. Didn't matter where he landed.
Okay.
Did not matter. Not a needle mover.
Okay.
Tedero McMillan.
Yeah.
Rookie camp for the Carolina Panthers, and I love this blue. It's a certain color blue, too. Forgot the correct term of blue that this is.
Carolina blue?
No, I don't think it's Carolina. It might be cobalt blue. I don't know what it is, but
Cobalt blue.
it's a certain color, man. But let's talk about number 4. Number 4 in Carolina. The reports for him and Colorado wide receiver Jimmy Horn have been glowing about how good they look, how smooth they are. Has your opinion changed on McMillan and his outlook in Carolina? What he could be for this team, what he could be for Bryce Young, what fantasy football gamers are hoping to get out of this young man? What are your thoughts on Tedero McMillan and his early rookie camp buzz?
I mean, I guess I'm glad he's getting buzz, right? He was the 8th overall pick. He should be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. And it's good that he's showing out in minicamp. Like, that's all good things. He's doing the things he's supposed to do. And I don't know if I should be saying much more than that. It's going to be good for the offense. It's going to be good for Bryce Young. But yeah, I think it's much better for Bryce Young than it is for Tedero McMillan or people who expect him to be great in fantasy. Again, do I think he's in line for like 1,200, 1,300 yards? Probably not. But
no,
maybe
I don't think so either.
Right? Like, you put out a great piece on him and how valuable he's going to be to Bryce Young and to this offense on third down and late game situations and getting down the field. But I am curious to see kind of how Dave Canales deploys him, right? I think it will be, I don't want to say wide receiver by committee because he will probably be the top guy, but I think it will be matchup based. And I think that the way they deploy their wide receivers will be in a certain rotation and he'll be the number 1 guy there. But McMillan will be a good, not great receiver, I think, in his rookie season. So I'm curious kind of how people feel about him. Good to see him showing out in camp, and hopefully he continues that into the season.
Yeah, process blue is the color. Jimmy Horn. Can we just talk through Jimmy Horn? Because the hype there was what I saw. I am just the messenger. These are not my opinions, my thoughts, or my rankings. What I saw was he was by far the best receiver out there in rookie minicamp. Jimmy Horn.
Yeah. I've heard a lot more buzz about Jim. Now, again, expectations aside is one thing, right? No one thought Jimmy Horn would come out here and light the world on fire, but if he's doing that, he may get on the field. And that's why when we talked about some guys that could surprise, we talked a bit about Jimmy Horn because he was getting a lot of buzz very early, which we didn't expect from a player like him. He's explosive. He does something that pretty much no one else on the roster does, and that's get down the field very quickly and is great down the field. So I think, there is a path to him potentially playing. And he is someone I'm excited to kind of see how he develops because we know Ted's going to be on the field. But if Horn continues to show out into training camp and obviously into the preseason, maybe he'll be that 4th receiver in the rotation that we weren't kind of expecting.
I'm glad you said because I think that's realistically at best is what you're hoping for Horn. He's not stepping in and overtaking Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, or Adam Thielen or McMillan. So at best, the 5th receiver, and I believe David Moore is still there, and whatever.
And he's going to return punts too, won't he? I think he's also going to return for them.
Yeah, probably that would probably be his best pass to be on the special teams unit. I like the buzz though. Like I'm not going to poo-poo him. I like the buzz. People did this last year with I saw Javon Baker's name invoked in the chat. I like the buzz, and I'll just say this: I prefer my players to get positive buzz than they ain't really do nothing, or there wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't. That's going to be fine. Jimmy Horn, we'll see what he can develop into, but I think at best, you're talking about a wide receiver 4 or 5 for an NFL team to start out. That's
Yeah,
probably
stretch the
where he should
field
be at.
in some, late third down, third and long type situations.
Yeah, certain packages. Yeah, no doubt. No
Exactly.
doubt. All right, let's talk about, let's go with Golden. Matthew Golden. Okay, this is one that's more interesting to me post-draft because of what the Packers had to come out and publicly say about Jaden Reed and his role inside of this offense, and rumors and speculation that he could potentially be on the move. This is the first-round pick at wide receiver the Packers have spent since Javon Walker. When you were a wee lad, JRich, you were a young man at that time, a small boy.
Certainly was.
I am still of the belief that the true opportunity that sits before Matthew Golden is yet to catch up in the minds of folks.
Okay.
I am more and more, and there's no clip here, just looking at some of the situational usage, how Golden was deployed in college, what Green Bay asked the wide receivers on that team to do last year. This is one where more and more, even though he's got the damn number 22 on, I want Matthew Golden, and I want Matthew Golden quite badly.
So what do you make of the Reed comments? Do you think they're just BS? Do you think there's some validity to them? Do you think that Golden will open as, let's say, the wide receiver 2 and kind of have to overtake Reed as, the quote-unquote 1? Because that's the hardest part, is the commentary to say that Reed is the 1. Because it ain't like he's utilized as the 1.
No, he's not.
He doesn't operate as the 1. He's not targeted as the 1.
He's not.
So
he's not.
What does that mean, right?
He's not, and I don't think it's going to change with Jaden Reed going into year 3. He's been an excellent producer when they give him opportunity, but there are so many stretches in games, in weeks, series of plays for the Packers where he's non-existent. He is running stuff behind the line of scrimmage, orbit motions, and then out of nowhere, he gets like a 52-yard bomb, and then they go away from him again. The thing that's helped him is he has been prioritized in the red zone. He's very good in short area, but they drafted a wide receiver in round 1. I think people are a little bit undervaluing Golden's role in this offense based on some of the inefficiencies of the wide receiver core that the Green Bay Packers have been trotting out there over the past couple of years. I'm very, very excited about his opportunity in this offense. Will it come to fruition and he become this all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber player? I don't know, but I'm excited about his opportunity.
Yeah, I think he's going to get an opportunity. It's just trying to figure out will he get that, I guess, solidified wide receiver 1 target share in the offense that we kind of hope for? Because the biggest problem with this team is that, whether Jaden Reed is the 1 or not is almost irrelevant. It's just there's so many options on this team for pass catchers. Can Golden really separate himself as the number 1 target, or will it be more a week-to-week, highs and lows roller coaster for all the pass catchers like we are used to seeing in Green Bay for like the past 2 seasons? Because they still have Musgrove and Kraft as well that are going to get their opportunities because they showed they're pretty good. So it's just trying to figure out how they want to play offensively, on top of the fact, Ray, that we talk about all the time. Neutral pass rate was one of the lowest in the league. So they actively didn't pass the football, and part of that was a couple Malik Willis games and Jordan Love being injured, and maybe that will change, but can Matthew Golden really change all of that for this offense? The low pass rate, the low average at the target, like not getting the ball down the field, and the utilization of the receivers, and all these players kind of taking away from the larger pie, so no one really excels at a high level. It'll be interesting to see how they utilize Golden, but those comments are strange when you have a wide receiver that was drafted in round 1. But it's hard because Golden wasn't a player people liked. Didn't have the production profile they liked. Didn't play as good as they liked. Didn't think he was as fast as he showed. Don't
you think sometimes,
a lot of negatives?
I see. Well, there's 2 comments. Daniel says, is Jordan Love even good enough to make a wide receiver 1? I think the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is yes. And then this idea that there's too many mouths to feed, that normally happens when you ain't find the dog. Like, where's the alpha? Where's the big dog? Once you find the big dog, you feed the big dog. I think the reason why there are a lot of mouths to feed in offenses is because nobody stepped up to be that big dog to say that you need to get me the ball. And if this first round wide receiver is going to be that, I think we'll know very quickly. Reed is what he is. He is what he is. He's going into year 3. He is what he is. I think Matthew Golden is a little underrated. I think he's a little underrated, and some of the pieces that I've seen written about him recently also speak to the fact that we might be undervaluing his fit in this offense, and it's a lot of what they don't currently have. So I'm excited for Jordan Love and for Matthew Golden, and more so the opportunity inside of this offense. I know everybody's excited about this player, though, JRich. I saw the report. Or I'm going to stop calling them reports. I saw a tweet that says this is the guy that's going to start out as the slot receiver in 2025 for your boy Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, Luther Burden III. JRich, there's a lot of hype around LB3 and his rookie minicamp debut in Chicago. Luther wasn't really feeling the 87. He made it very known, and all that. Look, all the good numbers were taken. This is what they gave me. But Luther Burden in this Ben Johnson offense with Rome, with DJ Moore, Caleb, how we feeling about Luther Burden in Chicago?
I'm coming around to it a little bit for sure. It's the hard part is you have the truthers, the LB3 gods, right? They love themselves some Luther Burden. But he's LB 87 now, and it just doesn't really hit the same. But more importantly, some people think he could be in that Amon-Ra role. So there's people who say, well, this is the guy that Ben Johnson wanted and drafted to be his number one target in an offense, right? It wasn't Rome Odunze. It wasn't DJ Moore. Well, I hear you. But I do think that maybe there's a world where that is true. And so for me right now, it's okay. Luther Burden's been good at minicamp, and that's great. And I love to see all of that. But I think we need a lot of information still to really try and disseminate and figure out what is this target share going to look like, and how
why are people worried about
Rome
Odunze? Where is?
I don't think people are worried about Odunze.
No. There's real
really
fear. There are people that don't know what yards per route run is, but they cite that, that was low and this was low and he couldn't do this in his wasn't this the guy that was there were people who said he was the best receiver in the class last year. Best receiver in the class is Rome Odunze. You look up and he's the best one 5 years from now, I wouldn't be shocked. You know, that the people that sit on the fence like that, that's the biggest hedge comment you can make. 5 years from now, he could be one of the best, or he could be out of the league. This fear around Rome Odunze, I think, is absolutely insane. I think it's crazy. I do not believe that Luther Burden was drafted to be Amon-Ra St. Brown out the gate in round 2. No. If that was the case, they would have picked him in round 1 if they thought he was going to do that. I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be good down the line. He's a player that I want in fantasy football because everybody else likes him. But to just plug him in and be like, that's going to be Amon-Ra for Ben Johnson in year 1, you are setting those expectations sky high, my friend.
But I think that's the problem with this team, right? And this offense is expectations were already high going into last season because they had the number 1 overall pick, the top quarterback in the draft, and they had a cast of weapons at his disposal that should be more than fitting of a rookie quarterback and this team. It obviously went down the path that it did, and they weren't successful. They lost 10 straight games after a Hail Mary to the Commanders. And then they come back this season. They have the wonder kid, Ben Johnson, hotshot head coach, now from Detroit after the past 2 seasons, lighting up the league, led the NFL I believe in points scored last season, very high in offense, has great rush schemes, great passing games, trick plays, the whole 9 yards. And then he drafts his receiver to now have, again, another dynamic trio. It's just figuring out who's the guy going to be, because I think if there's one thing about Ben Johnson's offense is after watching the past few seasons, there seems to be one guy. And we're going to find out if he can make it work with 2 and then especially 3, because people have high hopes for all 3 of these guys in DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden. And it feels like only 2 of them can succeed because that's kind of all we've seen in these Ben Johnson offenses. So I'm curious how this is all going to shake out. But yeah, Rome Odunze is probably the player I'm least worried about. But I think it's optimistic today to say that Luther Burden is going to run ahead of DJ Moore. But Rome Odunze is my least concern right now.
DJ Moore, Rome Odunze are starting at wide receiver. Like, not take whoever's playing what. We'll see who the third receiver is, the third pass catching option. Odunze or Golden in Dynasty? JRich, who would you rather have? Odunze or Matthew Golden?
Odunze.
Same.
Like by a lot, honestly.
Yeah. We just finished, Daniel said, we just finished talking about if you're the dog, the Bears told you he ain't the guy, and they don't have the guy they want, a sidekick. Who are we talking about, Daniel? Talking about Rome? The Bears said that Rome wasn't the guy? Yeah, I'm just, if that's what you're saying, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. They drafted Luther Burden in round 2. You know, they didn't take him 10th overall.
And they took Loveland ahead, right?
Right.
Because they want that dynamic tight end and you know, his Sam Laporta type player, which obviously Colston Loveland can operate in that fashion for sure.
Burden is going to be touchdown dependent in year 1. Garrison, I think he's just going to be a splash player. I think he's going to have some splash plays. I do believe that he is going to be utilized a lot like DJ Moore. DJ Moore, who ran heavy dosage of wide receiver screens and short area timing routes and targets. I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a splash player in year 1, and hopefully he develops into a full-time role player in year 2. All right, Jay, let's go to another wide receiver making some noise, and I actually saw him on punt return units in rookie mini camp. I don't think you want Emeka Egbuka returning punts, but let's talk about number 9, who looks thick, dare I say, at wide receiver for Tampa Bay. There was also a video of Baker Mayfield and his family taking Emeka Egbuka and his family out to lunch when he got down there. Whole family lunch at some random looking spot down there in Tampa Bay. But this is a story in wide receiver room I have been paying close attention to, because the initial thoughts are, well, Jalen McMillan is done for. Like, they just drafted this guy in round 1. You might as well punt Jalen McMillan to the moon. But everything that I'm reading is counter to that. This is a move added not just for the right now, but down the line. You still have an injured Chris Godwin returning from fractured fibula, tibia, whatever that was, and whatever nerve and muscle damage was associated with that. You've got big play Mike on the outside, but Mike's a little older, right? Old. Mike probably ain't running every practice. Mike probably ain't doing a ton during training camp. You got to keep Big Mike and those hammies fresh. Are we discounting or underrating the role that Egbuka could play in this Tampa Bay offense that has Baker Mayfield, who's thrown for 4,000 yards? Baker Mayfield's going to give you 30-plus touchdown passes, and this dude fits a role in a system. McMillan could do it all, right? McMillan played on the outside and on the inside, so he's not just a slot-only receiver. Godwin operates on the inside. Evans is outside. Egbuka's an inside player. I think there's a world where in quad sets, 4 wide receiver sets, even in some 3 wide receiver situations, we see Egbuka on the field with the big dogs for Tampa Bay. And you talk about a wide receiver by committee, I think McMillan and him and Godwin, for that degree, are probably pretty interchangeable for Tampa Bay, at least early on.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've been watching, you know, very, very closely. And it's funny because you said McMillan is an inside and outside type of player, but Egbuka is only an inside player.
Correct.
And I think that's the part that people aren't like opening their mind to. Like, why can't they use Egbuka outside? Because there's still going to be a lot of attention drawn by Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, regardless of where they're on the field. You can use these players all over the field and kind of throughout the process. As I feel like I've been talking up Egbuka since January, because everyone was like, well, is he even going to be a first rounder? And is he a first round wide receiver? And throughout the entire process, he rose and he rose and he rose and he rose. And by the time the draft came about, especially in April, it's like, no, this guy is going to be a first-round pick. And he got drafted to a spot where they heavily utilize their wide receivers. They don't really utilize their tight ends. Their running backs they use in the passing game sparingly. It's wide receivers, wide receivers, wide receivers. So why not have 4 very talented ones? And I think Ibuka is a player that can operate inside and out. Is he your prototypical X receiver? No. But can he go out there and run a couple good routes? Absolutely. And complement the offense in the ways that it needs to be complemented. And I think that's what McMillan did in a great job of last year, was finding a role in the offense where he can operate and make a difference for this team. And I think Ibuka's going to do the exact same thing. He's a player who went into a locker room with some of the most talented and highly drafted wide receivers we've seen in the NFL over the past 4 or 5 years at his time in college at Ohio State. So he's very familiar with how to find his role on a team, in an offense, and how he can make an impact for an NFL organization. So I'm very excited for Ibuka this season. It's just, people want him to probably be like a 100-target guy.
Yeah, not year one.
That may not be in the cards, but he can absolutely make a big impact for this team. And if anyone gets injured, I think he's the guy that's going to get the first crack to take that job.
I don't wish injury. We don't wish injury on anybody on the show. I don't do that. I want everybody to play the full 17, but the reality is it ain't happening. The reality is I believe Mike Evans has played a full 17 one time in his career, and that was in 2023. He's old, right? This is probably his last year in Tampa Bay. There is some insurance for Godwin's health, but I do not believe that Ibuka is an insurance policy. He is a plan, right? Emeka Egbuka, 18th, 19th overall, there's a plan for him and how he needs to operate and exist in this offense. And if he has to step into a role because of some injury, then hell yeah, we can't have Raheem Jarrett and McMillan and Sterling Shepard and, the other, whoever else they have. We've got to have competent receivers in the event that Godwin is a little slow, that Mike is banged up. But I think Egbuka factors into this offense. He and McMillan are going to be nice together, and that's probably going to be your pass-catching core for Tampa Bay moving forward with this first-round pick. So excited to hear about how well he's done during rookie minicamp. And yes, the clips I saw returning the punt, probably don't want him doing that. I just don't think that's his calling card and that's his game. But I love him as a big power slot for Baker Mayfield. So very much in on Emeka Egbuka. Let's talk about your boy. And pull up some clips from the Saints, JRich. Tyler Shough, you're going to see him tossing the ball around here inside these Saints rookie minicamp clips. But Tyler Shough is the guy. Derek Carr is out of the way. Tyler Shough versus Spencer Rattler is sort of the growing narrative right now for who's going to win the starting job coming out of New Orleans. What are your thoughts on the second-round pick, former Louisville Cardinal, Tyler Shough? You see him right here wearing that number 6 and run around a little bit. You got Devin Neal on the squad. We got Kelvin Banks out of Texas to protect him. Where are you at with Shough right now? You said you would take him over Anthony Richardson earlier in the show. You still feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Okay. There's a few things that come to play here. One, I think the offensive line's going to be a lot better this season. I think they have good pass catchers, even though the top 2 guys are coming off injury, and that really sucks.
And they still have good pass catchers, right? Even though the top 2 guys are coming off of injury, they've got good pass catchers, right?
Yeah, just because they're injured doesn't mean they're not good. Are you trying to tell me the injured guys aren't good? Is that what you do here?
Right,
you're injury
shaming.
I'm
sorry, I interrupted you. Continue. I apologize.
And more importantly, I believe in Kellen Moore. If there was a guy that I wanted to kind of put my eggs into that basket, I think Kellen Moore is one of those guys. I believe if he's going to take a quarterback, he's going to be happy with. Going to take a quarterback he thinks has some tools and traits that he can develop throughout the season. And more importantly, he has a clear path to playing time. This Saints team is going nowhere fast. They're probably going to lose, 13 to 14 games this season. They're going to be a bad team. They are going to be a bad team in 2025. But it's not necessarily about how many wins they get. It's about, can they get Shough to where they need him to be? Where maybe
if they lose 14 games, I bet you they don't feel great about Tyler Shough.
They may not. But dude, Drake May lost a ton of games, and he's still a starting quarterback for the Patriots because he was drafted so high. But I'm just saying, if they see enough from Shough to where they believe that he's developing and he gets better throughout the season, maybe he starts losing 7 or 8 games in a row. But second half, he turns it on and plays much better. Like, these things happen, right? They could absolutely happen. So while I think the Saints are going to be bad, I'm still in on Shuck because I think that there's a world where he could be the Saints' answer at quarterback. It's very unlikely, but I think there is a possibility because he's going to get the chance to start. And if he looks even half decent, he could be the best quarterback they've had on the roster since Drew Brees, because I don't think Derek Carr is a very high bar. And Jameis Winston, not a very high bar.
I think it's possible. If Tyler Shuck becomes what Derek Carr has been throughout his career, that would be, I think that'd
be worst case scenario for the Saints, because then they're not going to get rid of him and they're stuck with Derek Carr, right? Like, you're looking at it from, oh, that'd be pretty good. It's like, no, because then they're going to be like, what, 7-10, 9-8 every season. Like, that's not going to be good. You don't want that in the NFL. You need a good quarterback. And you need Shuck to be better than Derek Carr.
Jackson Dart. How good is he going to be? How good is Jackson Dart going to be?
I am fired up. I want Jackson Dart to be good. I think Jackson Dart's got some moxie, Ray. I think he's got some moxie to his game, and I want to see him play. I got to look up the Giants' schedule because we need to figure out when this kid's going to play, because it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Okay, let's pull the schedule. Let's see what week Jackson Dart is going to start in. I like.
Okay. Ooh.
What do we got? What we got?
Late bye week, Ray.
When's the bye
week? Week 14. But very promising from a.
Sucks for your Malik neighbors trying to get in the playoffs. That stinks.
Well, okay, they open the season at Washington. Ooh, loss.
Tough. Loss.
Week 2 at Dallas.
Loss.
Probably a loss because it's at home.
Loss.
Home against Kansas City.
Loss.
Chargers at home.
Loss.
At New Orleans.
Shuck Dart.
Shuck versus. Can we get Shuck versus Dart?
Shuck
they're
Dart.
Already 0-4.
Shuck and Dart.
Russell Wilson's 0-4. So I don't think you play him then, because let me tell you the next game. So let's say they win that game. So they're 1-4. Philly, loss.
No.
At Denver, loss.
Absolutely
they are now
not.
1-6.
You're not starting Dart on the road at Denver.
At Philly.
Jameis is getting blasted at this point. They're 1-7.
San Francisco, but at home.
L.
At Chicago.
Okay.
Could be close. Let's give them a win. So they got 2 wins.
Give them a win.
2-8.
Give them a win. They beat Chicago.
But then they have Green Bay. It's at home, but Green Bay.
Loss.
They're going to lose that game too.
Loss.
At Detroit.
Massive L.
Then at New England, which they could lose that game too.
That'll be the final straw. Well, if
at that point, they'll be like 1-12.
Here's the thing. If it goes to that degree, at that point, Daboll is fired. Like, he's getting fired. He's fired out of the bye.
But if Daboll gets fired, do you think they go to, like, let's say, I think the perfect scenario is first half of the season, they're 1-7. We gave them the New Orleans win, and you start him the San Francisco game at home after the Philly loss. So you don't have to play Philly or Denver, because that 3-game stretch is thankfully over. But then you have for the second half of the season.
Comment said, fucking put him in. Put him in. Only real way to learn. Just throw him out there. Like, what do you? Yeah. He's going to play this year. I don't think there's any world in which the Giants have this schedule and they can justify being 1-10, 2-8, 3-7, and they're still rolling out Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I'm not buying it. He's playing sooner rather than later, Jay. He's playing sooner rather than later.
That Saints game, Ray, Daboll is fired. Week 5. Like, after week 5, Daboll is gone. Like, there is no way brutal. You can walk into your building with the only potential win on your schedule as it projects out right now. If they lose to Washington and lose to Dallas, which they probably should, they'll probably lose to Kansas City and probably lose to the Chargers. If they lose to New Orleans and start the season 0-5, staring down the barrel of Philly, Denver, Philly again, there is no way he's coaching week 6. Because they're going to lose the game to Philly. Like, they're just going to lose that game. And they're probably going to lose in Denver, and they're probably going to lose to Philly again anyways. So why not, over those 3 weeks, try and reset the coaching staff a little bit and kind of see what happens. But it is looking tough. There's no immediate path to playing time for Dart. I think the San Francisco game, week 9, is a possibility after the trade deadline is over. I think that's kind of the perfect spot for him to start. Some tough games on the schedule still, because like even after the bye, Washington, Minnesota, Vegas, Dallas again. So 1.5 easy games in there. But yeah, tough schedule for the Giants and looking very tough to find an easy spot in a bye week situation for him to start.
Giants and Saints both looking for QBs next year. If Daboll's fired, I agree with I agree with the comment in the chat. Main concern with Dart's new regime next year. I mean,
for sure.
Even if the Giants are improved, and at best, Jay, I'm like, okay, they finished 3rd in the NFC East behind Philly and Washington. Yeah. That's not saving Daboll. That's not saving Daboll. So the schedule
if they
is
finish
brutal.
The Cowboys, it might. It might. But the point is, and someone did say in the chat, like the defense should be very good.
Oh, I've continued to talk about the defense.
It will have to be very good to overcome.
But here's the in today's NFL, this ain't the fucking 2000 Ravens defense, right? Like, yeah. I get it that your defense is good. You got to score points in today's NFL. There are no
you got to score 20 a game
level of defenses. They're just impregnable. You can't score. You can't run. You have to be able to move the ball. And as good as that defense may have improved to be, that O-line in New York is still atrocious. It is still not a good offensive line. You got to be able to score points in the league, man. You got to be able to score points in the league, and that's what it is. No matter how good or impressive your front 4, front 7, or back 4 are. All right, Jay, the last player that I want to talk about is one from an NFC team that nobody is talking about. I've seen little to no chatter around a wide receiver who ran 4.3 at the combine, 11-inch broad jump, sub 7 second 3-cone drill, something that had not been done at the NFL combine over the last decade. No receiver was able to post those numbers that this receiver was able to post at the combine. This player we saw at the Senior Bowl was drafted way higher than people thought. Like this was a guy people thought would be a damn UDFA. JRich. Let's talk about Washington Commanders new speedster Jalen Lane. We always talk about, I want pieces of good offenses. I want players in good offenses. Well, how damn good is the Commanders offense? Okay. How good is the Commanders offense? And look at this when we were in Mobile. I mean, the speed is blinding. He led Virginia Tech in catches the past 2 years. Commanders with Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury. I think there's some sneaky sleeper potential here with Jalen Lane, wide receiver of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the problem is that there's no immediate path to like a lot of targets or even, let's say, significant targets. It kind of feels like Jimmy Horn, right? And maybe, would you say that there's more wide receivers ahead of Lane probably than Horn? Because it's a toss-up. There's McLaurin, obviously.
You got McLaurin.
Zach Ertz.
That I don't include tight end targets in the wide receiver distribution bucket. They let go of De'Ami Brown. They brought in Michael Gallup, who hadn't played football in 2 damn years. You got Deebo Samuel. Deebo can't do what Jalen Lane does. Deebo ain't doing that.
But
Deebo ain't running no 4
The funny thing about Lane is that, does he kind of profile as De'Ami Brown? Like De'Ami Brown was a receiver that could get down the field and was fast. So if he can do that, and honestly, we saw De'Ami Brown be effective in this offense. We wasn't a high volume role.
Be effective in this offense.
Yeah. So maybe we should be paying more attention to Jalen Lane. Didn't like him a lot, but the situation, and it was, I believe, the only offensive position player they drafted.
The only one.
Get down the field, if he can show that he can get on the field and knows the offense well, like, again, it's just like Jimmy Horn. He has elements of the offense that they don't really have. Like McLaurin gets down the field and he is their deep threat. But if they can have another guy be that deep threat and allow McLaurin to kind of operate a bit more in the intermediate at times, that's a great fit for this team and for this offense.
It has nothing to do with his Debo Wash. They don't play the same position. They might have WR after their last name, but they do not occupy the same space role on that team. Debo ain't doing none of that. There are no 9 vertical routes for Debo Samuel. He's probably not running a ton of double moves to get vertical. They don't play the same position. They're both receivers, but they play different roles and occupy different assignments for this offense. I'm just saying, man. This is again
on Luke McCaffrey, right?
Luke McCaffrey
apparently also looking good in rookie mini camp. I have read some reports that Luke's been doing a good job.
I'm good. I'm good.
God doesn't want.
I'm good on that Luke McCaffrey. You and D-Bro could have that Luke McCaffrey. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. All right, hit the music, Jack.
Hating on him.
Hit the music.
All over Christian, but Luke can't get no love. No love.
Come on, man. Come on, bro.
All in on that Christian. All in on that.
All in on
Anthony
that
Richardson.
Christian, like I'm not supposed to be. The
all
number
in on
one
that
overall player.
JRich. All right. Talk to him. All in on that Matthew Golden. Right? All in on that Jackson Dart. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Throw the clip up again.
Dude, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Look at timing.
How can you give up on this talent?
Touch.
How can you give up? How can you give up on this talent?
My guy's wearing goggles, Ray. He's wearing goggles.
They're transition lenses. How can you
Those
give up?
Those are not transition lenses. Those are goggles.
How
That's the shit that you see Horace Grant wearing in the 90s.
I don't know what the bet is, but we're going to make another JRich bet this year. I am planting.
You're going to set the bar so low that you can't possibly lose, because there's just no way that you actually are confident in JRich. Like,
I am.
I need to ask you this.
I'm
like,
not bullshitting. I'm dead
here,
serious, man.
I want you to give me a line. I want you to tell me what you think you would set his over-under for passing yards at for this season.
Where was Jalen Hurts' over-under for passing yards?
It was like 3,200 last year.
I believe that he's going to play well enough this season to not only quiet the noise from you cowards who are scared.
How am I a coward?
Scared because you love them to death. You love them for 2 years, and now he's just chopped liver. He plays well enough to quiet the noise of you cowards and earn another contract with the Indianapolis Colts as the franchise
yards on the
quarterback of the future in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson, book it.
Okay, but how many yards are you going to throw for this season?
I don't know yet.
That was the only question I asked you.
It doesn't matter if he's going to be the guy of the future. Then he threw for enough yards to get a second contract and be the quarterback of the future. If he's
here's
not,
a good one for you.
If he's
Justin
not,
Fields' over/under is 25.50. Who do you think's got a better shot at hitting 25.50? Justin Fields or Anthony Richardson?
JRich, easy.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
If JRich doesn't have 2,500, I'm out. I'm off a wake up. This is your show. I won't do this anymore. If he can't get 2,500 yards, JRich, it's over. There's no point to continue. 2,500?
I mean, he could get hurt. He could get benched.
Okay, if he's not hurt,
that's assuming he starts, majority of the season for sure. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
Come on, Jimbo.
Tough sledding.
Jimbo said Ray Beans cut with stop it. Jimbo, get out of here. Cameron Myers moved JRich for first and Rodgers. I'm fine with that. I'm not telling you not to sell him. I'm just telling you that I still have belief in. Is the music on? Let's get out of here, Jay. Anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. We're out. Peace.
Hold on. I wasn't ready yet.
Too quick for you.
See you. Peace.
Too quick.